What's up, everybody? Mark with Kardavox Academy here, and we're doing something cool. We're starting a new series. So this series is called Student Spotlight because, I don't know if you know this, Kardavox Academy has been around for almost half a decade. That's a very salesy way of saying 4.5 years because it sounds way more impressive, right? Half a decade, 4.5 years. Anyway, and so what this means is that a lot of my students I had kind of earlier on are starting to come around, send me emails saying, hey, here's where I'm at today. I'd love to show you what I've accomplished. And I said to myself, well, this could be a cool series. So when I get a song from a student that, like, you know, on first glance, it's like, wow, this student has made a ton of progress. I'm going to normally what I would do is I would just listen to them and, you know, send them a video or, you know, a sound bite or some text back, kind of giving them my thoughts on the song. And then I was like, well, why not just make it content? Why not just do that? So you and I, anybody watching, you know, we're gonna check this out together. We're gonna see what it's all about. Now, for those of you who are watching, my name is Mark. I am a metal vocalist myself. I'm in a band called Kardashev. Been doing Kardashev and vocals and all this for about 14, 15 years-ish. Been teaching harsh vocals for, like I said, about 4.5, 5 years. And this is my main job. This is my full-time job, teaching vocals, making content. And I love it. And I'm very passionate about it. And I love seeing student progress. The vocalist in this band is my homie Jake. He took lessons, I think it's been a couple years now. And he came to Kardavox Academy, because at the time we only had the one vocal coach. We have two now. But he came to me and he was interested in exploring his voice, right? Now, some of this is by memory. So Jake, if you remember things a little differently, please feel free to comment in the chat. But he had some solid vocals already. But he was like, I want to make sure I'm doing this safely. I want to make sure I'm doing this efficiently. I want to explore my voice in these directions, but I'm not really sure how. So I want somebody with a good ear, with a professional background to be able to do that. So they were really fun lessons because, you know, I love teaching beginners. I absolutely adore it. In fact, if I could choose, I would always have like 70 to 80% absolute beginners because it's just fun to watch them develop. But it's also fun sometimes to get a student who they've got a handle on their voice, but they need that extra ear to listen and say, ooh, try this, or ooh, hey, the reason that's not working, that vocal you're doing, the reason that's not working is because of tension in this muscle, or is because I feel like I'm hitting this microphone with a lot of plosives today. I'm not sure why. I'm sorry. Tension in this muscle, or imbalance in your airflow here, right? So sometimes that's a little bit fun because it's like a puzzle that we get to solve together. And that's it. I don't know. I haven't heard this song, Evergreen, Aphasia. Jake's a heck of a vocalist, but I haven't heard, I've kind of followed his band, you know, kind of loosely over the years, but I have not heard this, and I haven't checked them out in a little while. So Aphasia, Evergreen, Jake, here we go. I can be okay, I like singing as a tempted every you like because so Okay, so let's pause there right before we get to that chorus. Okay, cool. So one thing I remember about Jake is those high notes he was singing generally were fairly easy for him. I can't remember. I think we found, it's been a while. I think we found what his voice type was. But I think from, you know, what we're hearing and from my memory, tenor is safe to say. I'll talk about the screaming first, though. So one thing I'm hearing here that I really am enjoying, right, is we have a forward driving, strong main vocal, right? Now, I think this is an area where a lot of, now I don't want to say new vocalists because he's been at this for a while, you know. I don't know how old Aphasia is, but I guess I could look it up, but I'm too lazy. But I think maybe about 5 years or so, maybe a little bit less, could be wrong. But, you know, he's not brand new, right? But a mistake that a lot of a lot of vocalists will make is that in sections where the song is building tension or, you know, is trying to carry forward momentum, they'll do too much or they'll do too little, right? Instead, what we have here is a really nice, wide open, powerful mid that's being brightened. I don't know if I'd call the brighter spots like full on highs, right? But I do hear like this wide open, rounded tone from the back of the mouth, right? Right. I hear a lot of that. Gotta mute my mic in here. And so that's giving us a really solid sound to anchor to. The distortion sounds really, really even, right? It's got this really strong sort of TV static sound that I really like. It doesn't have a lot of like flubby, wubby, like traditional false chord sound in it, because that's not what he's doing. That would be a lot more appropriate for you know, like death metal, certain types of deathcore, certain types of, you know, depending on certain types of prog. But the main thing I'm hearing is excellent placement, excellent airflow, good open mouth, allowing, and all that together allows us to relax the throat. Now, the singing here is pretty spot on as well. You know, it's kind of interesting. A lot of our screaming and singing follows similar requirements because it's the same instrument, right? We have good, bright, forward sounding sounds. We've got, you know, you can see the teeth when you're singing. So we're bringing out those bright frequencies. We're dropping the jaw. We're pulling the lips back a little bit. You know, you can see the cheeks kind of balling up, all of that. Now I don't hit high notes like that, homie. You know, I am stuck very much in that baritone life. So, but I do know, you know, I can tell you from experience, because if any of you have heard Kardashev, I do a lot of belting, a lot of mixed belting, right? Brightening the voice by sort of balling up the cheeks. Yeah, that's really very, very useful. So there's a lot of good stuff going on here, from a technique perspective, and it's what's appropriate for the song, right? There's a lot of good supplementation to the song going on here. Not trying to dominate it, not trying to hide behind it. So let's keep going. I really dig the back and forth I'm hearing between those like high vocals and then those lower like driving false chord vocals. One thing that I'm noticing, and hopefully when he sees this, I'm sure he will, because he was like, hey, here's a new song, I'd like your feedback. So I'm sure he's gonna watch this, right? Because this is how I'm giving you your feedback, homie. A lot of what I'm hearing is a really good, it's kind of some old school methodology, right? Like these just driving rounded open false chords. They're not so old school that nobody uses them anymore, but you know, it's that paired with like the very forward singing. It's got like kind of like, I hesitate to say this because this song is very modern. I mean, especially with how we have like some thal elements and some like breakdowny death metal elements, but in a metalcore vibe song. There's some really cool fusion going on here. But vocally, there's a little bit like there's this like color texture of like 2010s, right? 2010s, especially in the singing. And I really like it because I think that was a really cool era of music that, you know, I don't know if I'd bring it back entirely, but elements of this, like this style of singing and this style of like very driven, like without all the going on, which I love that stuff. But it's cool to hear here. Very, very balanced, right? I would say so far, my main thing I'm taking away is that, Jake is taking a very balanced approach to this song. That can be a very smart play because then when you do pull out something crazy, it punches harder, right? Like if you pig squeal 16 times in a song, the third pig squeal, it's like, okay, yeah, we got a pig squeal. If you have a very strong vocal outside of that, and then at the right moment you pig squeal, I don't know if he's going to pig squeal here, but at the right moment you pig squeal, that pig squeal, people are going to be like, "Pwah," you know what I'm saying? So there's some strategy here that I really like. Also, the editing is really cool. Let's keep going. Oh, nice panning. Nice pan. So we might have to listen to that section again because I got a little bit distracted by the instrumentation. So if you listen, yeah, we'll go back a little bit. If you listen, so panned hard left, in the background, there was a guitar and it was doing that bam, 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 that sort of polyrhythmic asymmetrical thing. And then when we actually got into the section, it's, we panned both directions. It sounded like, now, again, I'm no engineer, so I could be wrong, but it sounded like a very standard, like left, right pan with a strong middle. So you get like this sort of all around sort of sound, which is really, really cool. And yeah, this song is doing a lot of different things. It's got like, it had some thal elements. Now I'm hearing like some sort of prog elements, but more in the vein of like Vola, right? Which is amazing. If you have not heard Vola, let me tell you, you gotta. Okay. Another thing that's really interesting, we're going to listen to it again, but the mixing and production on his voice is very fascinating because normally singing like this and screaming like this is put very forward in front of the music, right? Oftentimes this type of singing is in metal that takes a lot of influence from pop music, right? And pop music, which is awesome. Listen, I say this all the time because it always happens, but people sometimes get a little spicy. But pop music is dope, right? There's a lot of good pop music out there. But usually the type of singing he's doing is in various genres of music that take influence from pop. And one of the main things about much pop music is that the voice is very forward. The voice is very in front of the mix, right? Which makes sense because pop music, there's often that star quality, right? Very few people probably know the name of, Hosier's band, or the people who go on tour with Ariana Grande, or, Taylor Swift's drummer. But they know who Taylor Swift, Hozier, and Ariana Grande are, right? So it's interesting that his voice is being mixed fairly far back. That's actually where I tend to prefer vocals. I'm a very sort of washy, ambient. I mean, I like early like black metal, where it's like the vocals are pretty far back. So it's an interesting choice. It's a choice I really, really like. A little unexpected. Interesting to see what people think about it. I think it's a bold move. I think it's a good move. Sets them apart quite well. I want you to listen, if you've got headphones on, see if you can hear that guitar panned left, and then you're going to hear it open up to the right. And it's really cool, actually. It's a really, really well. There's a lot of maturity in this writing, and that's not to say I expected anything less, but this is a lot more than just like verse, chorus, bridge. You know what I'm saying? There's some blending going in here. You can tell they didn't just slap the parts together and call the song done. They slapped it together, polished it out, thought about it, stepped back, made some changes, and we have a really cohesive whole going on here. I'm going to go back. Let's go back to this part because I know that that's at the right stage. Sorry. Oh. That is a great false chord low. That's an excellent false chord low. And I'm very pleased to hear that he has stuck with a lot of that stuff, because I think one mistake that a lot of people make who learn false chord is they learn the basic false chord vocal, which is very airy. It's hard to hold on to, and they're like, cool, check mark, and then they move on and they never touch it again, which is like, it's like walking away from a roux. You're gonna burn it, you know what I mean? and it's really useful. It's going to make every soup you have a lot better, right? So I feel like, unless you're learning like just pure basic fry, which like what even is that, and who even really does that, everything's a mixture of things these days. Unless you're doing that, I think no matter what kind of vocalist you are, a false chord mid is going to just really stand out, because what we have here is we have a false chord low. Well, what we really have is we have a false chord mid modified into a low with the mouth. A little bit of squeeze at the top of the throat. Whoa, right? And that's now he might have, a couple little different things that he's doing, because it's been a couple years and everybody's voice kind of starts to fit them like a glove. When you learn to do it, you might do one little thing differently here or there. But to recreate that sound, that's what I would do, right? To get the easiest results. And I'm very glad to hear that he has continued to work with that, because I think it's served his voice overall really well. He's got longevity, he's got balance, he's got depth of tone. You know what I'm saying? And he's got a really strong voice too. So, we can tell that he's, at least from what I can hear in this one section, been fairly safe, fairly healthy with his voice. I do want to make very clear, based on this fact, though, that this is the result of a lot of hard work, right? As much as it would probably be cool for me to be like, yeah, he took like 4 lessons. I don't remember how many he took. He was not like super long term, maybe like 5 or 6 months, maybe less. But this is the result of work. Right. So it's not like it'd be great for me to say like, yeah, I just made this vocalist from start to finish. Not the case. I was part of the vocal journey. Right. But this is a lot of him taking time to learn his own voice, to understand concepts on his own outside of lessons. And then, of course, lessons with me and maybe anybody else. I'm not sure if he took lessons with other people as well. Possibly he did. You put all these things together and you get a very, very strong voice. Right. So if you're out there, and you're taking lessons or you're self-teaching or whatever it may be, open up to adding some things into that, right? But yeah, a lot of strong songwriting here. Also that tone, that guitar tone. All right, I'm already going to pause again because he's doing something that I haven't heard him do yet, which makes a lot of sense. Now, he's probably done it like 10 times and I'm just a fucking idiot. But it's standing out at this part of the song. So I'm going to talk about it in the way that I'm hearing it, even if he has done it before and I missed it, right? So I'm just going to talk about it as I hear it, right? But a lot of his vocals have been very clean, very open, and very driving, right? And then like a, there we go. Right? A little bit maybe of that like Fry influence in there too. But now we're hearing him getting a little bit darker, a little bit dirtier. And he's doing that by, and it starts to sound a little bit sludgy, right? And that sludgy tone can go a long way. Check it out. And it supplements the part, right? And so, obviously I haven't spoken with him other than a message back and forth, here and there. So I don't know what his philosophy is, but what he is projecting, what he is showing in the way that he chose to write his vocals for this song, is that he really understands that much of the time, and this is something I agree with, the vocalist is a supplement to the song. That doesn't mean you're second, you're second to the other band members. That doesn't mean that you don't ever get to stand out and shine, but you will always make the song better as a vocalist. This is something I'm very strong. I have a very strong opinion of. If you listen to the song and your first goal is what does this song need? And your second goal is to sound cool. Amplify the song and then amplify yourself, right? Make your band members sound good and then make yourself sound good. You're gonna write some good music if you have that philosophy. That's a great low. That's a great low. Yo, oh yeah, he got in trouble. Not Jake. Jake did not get in trouble. I'm just looking at this thumbnail of Dr. Disrespect. Whoops. That's a different conversation, but homie. Anyway. So yeah, that's a seriously sick song. That's, you know, it's interesting. That's got a lot of stuff that I really like. Like, I love that, like, proggy, but also heavy thal, vola, asymmetrical, but easy to follow vibe. Like, that entire song, you know, one thing I really liked about it is there was always that beat that you could bob your head to. So I never felt lost, but I constantly felt surprised, you know, by the notes that they were being held out, by the silly, what is this? There's a band called Liminal Silence. That's interesting. From what the guitars were doing, from the drum fills, you know, things were surprising enough to where I didn't get bored, but I never felt lost. And I do like music that sometimes I'm just sitting there like, what the hell is happening? But in this case, I'm really glad that this song is what it was. All right, sorry about that. My shit froze up. But anyways, those were basically my thoughts anyway. So excellent song. It's got a lot of things that I really enjoy. And you know, going back to Jake here, again, I really love that he stuck with you know, he stuck with a fundamental. I was gonna say like foundational I don't remember. He's stuck with a foundational sound and really improved upon it. And now he's got something very professional, very competitive in the metal vocal world as far as like, you know, standing out amongst vocalists. But he's doing really well in his genre, and he's kind of like moving things around with the way the song is produced. So a lot of really good stuff here. Again, vocals are a very long journey. So again, this is not something that's, you're not going to take like a handful of lessons and be like this overnight. But yeah, good job. Kudos. I really like this song, and I think I'll be a little bit more diligent. I can't fucking speak. Diligent about keeping up with Aphasia, because they're doing well. But anyway, if you like that song, go show them some love. Go say hello. Follow them on Spotify, whatever you want to do. Buy some merch if you really like it. And if you like this video, and if you like, you know, the way that I tend to teach in my videos, feel free to inquire about lessons at KardavoxAcademy.com, or you can check out my false chord fundamentals e-course, which you can also access on KardavoxAcademy.com. And that's it. That's all I have for you. This was a lot of fun. So, you know, regardless of how this does, I think we're going to do this some more, because like I said, coming up on 5 years, I more consistently will get videos from my students being like, hey, here's where I am today. Hey, here's where I am today. And it's cool. It makes me feel good. So that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.